Welcome to episode 6 of my two favorite boomers competing for 2 tickets to a game of FC Barcelona. Both of their accounts are up big, the tensions are rising, and last week they were trading 1 out of 2 of my favorite altcoins, which was Chainlink. This week, guys, it's going to be my second to favorite altcoin, which is Solana. Once again, one trade to take this week. Please don't bend the rules, and I hope you guys are ready for it.
Let's go. Solana it is.
Cool, man. Waiting for it. It's Sunday, 11th of May. My account balance is 273.73.
It's the 11th of May, Sunday, and my account balance is 287.76.
Welcome, guys. Today, the Monday, 12th of May. The balance on the challenge is 274.26. Yip gave us Solana to chart this week. So I'm targeting a long position divided in 3 long positions. I'm hoping for a flush in the coming days. We're not going to enter right now. We're only going to enter where other people are getting wrecked. Difficulty in this case is that how deep will the correction be? Will it go to the demand zone marked in green, or will the demand grab be much more shallow? I think the latter, because they're not going to let people enter that easily on a retest. Even it could be that the price just pumps from here, but I'm targeting this long. Let's see how the situation plays out. That's all I can say about it. The only thing, like I said, that worries me is the wider stop loss in this case. So basically, I placed my orders in Teal Street. I'm hoping for a quick spike down in the coming days to get filled. Let's see. I hope the crypto gods are with us. It is Tuesday the 13th of May. Assignment of this week is to trade a Solana. I thought it was a pretty easy long. I was struggling where to place the limit entries. I think my limits are placed well into Teal Street. The ultimate goal really is having the financial freedom and the liberty and not worry about a boss. Basically, let's see if this Solana trade will help me in that. Okay, it's Friday the 16th. We are trading a Solana this week, or better said, I'm not trading a Solana this week because I'm pretty much losing it mentally. I've placed some limit long orders at the beginning of this week, hoping for a correction. So I might need to change my game, focusing more on lower time frame setup. It is close to New York Open on Friday. I need to adapt. I'm feeling pretty uncertain now about the whole thing, but I might just enter where other people get wrecked, hopefully during New York, and targeting the range highs or even some other buy side liquidity higher up. Not ideal. I'm not going to take it because obviously on weekends volume is drying up, and then you often see price dying a little bit as well. So let's just see how the price develops during New York Open today, and maybe something clear will present itself.
Another week has been completed and my two favorite boomers, Bart and Eelco, are still competing for 2 tickets to a game of FC Barcelona with one of their kids. Both are actually running in massive profit, and it's a very close race. Last week they were trading Solana. Bart, without further ado, did you once again make some profit?
I did make some modest profit of $2, and actually I'm considering the slow price action. I'm quite happy that I actually made some profits and did not make losses actually, because it was a very difficult week to control my urge to step into a trade, because after all, it is a challenge. I didn't take the most ideal trade, but still, yeah, let's go into the chart.
Yeah, it was a very slow week, so I'm very curious about your trading setup.
Well, yeah, last week we had, well, the week before actually, we had a link trade, and that trade was going perfectly into our demand zones that we drew. So I thought, okay, that's an easy one. Let's, repeat that trick. That didn't really work out. Well, Solana, actually, like all coins, what isn't a nice uptrend on the daily and the 4 hourly. So I was looking for a long.
Perfect.
But what we saw is that the conditions were much more bullish than the week before, than when we were trading Link. I had my demand zones mapped out. I had my limits set. So I was hoping that there was some quick flush to get some stop losses of people who were breakout longing.
And how could you see that people were breakout longing?
Well, I was hoping that people were thinking here, we missed the boat. Let's, it's breaking out. I was hoping that retail would step in here and placing their stop loss here. That was my thinking.
Yeah, exactly. There's something happening on a a chart that can trigger people into opening up breakout long positions because they feel FOMO. It's not just that price was rising before. After price is rising, it starts consolidating, and within that consolidation area, price can make certain moves that make people want to step into a breakout long position. Because I actually agree with your statement. People were opening up breakout long positions on Solana, and you were right for being very patient until they got stopped out, and that's where you wanted to enter. But what was the reason for those people to open those breakout long positions?
Breakout from some sort of trend line or anything?
No, I'm gonna explain.
Yeah.
So what we can see is that Solana made this push up, and then afterwards it made this push up. Now, the reason why people were opening up longs and placing their stop loss beneath this low over here and beneath this little order block over here, which you were right of thinking, is because price action behaved in a certain way, like I said, that made people open up those breakout longs. Why? Because price was breaking through this insignificant high over here. And before that, price was also doing the exact same over here and also over here. So what happens is that people see a very aggressive impulse to the upside that retail probably missed. So they either were short or at least they weren't long. So then they are waiting for price to make certain moves in which they can open up breakout long positions over here, or breakout long positions over here or over here. Now, in their opinion, they get that trigger once price breaks above a previous high over here, or once price breaks above a previous high over here or over here. But they totally forget about the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that Solana just made 1, 2, 3 massive impulses to the upside. So is that the moment to start looking for breakout longs? It definitely isn't. And also price was breaking through insignificant highs over here. Okay, because those highs were only bringing us to a higher low over here and not to a lower low compared to this low. They brought us to that high. So therefore those highs carried no significance at all. Now, that was the reason for people to start opening up breakout long positions. And like you said, those breakout longs, they need a low to cover their stop loss. And they were probably going to use this low to cover their stop loss, or this low to cover their stop loss. Which means that those breakout long positions that were being opened over here, or when we were breaking through the previous highs over here, or over here, they were actually engineering plenty of liquidity beneath this low and also beneath this low right over here. So it's not just that impulse up or that impulse down that gives people FOMO. After that impulse up or down, price often starts consolidating, and within that consolidation area, price behaves in a certain way that makes people opening up breakout longs or breakdown shorts. Now, we always want to wait for those breakout longs or breakdown shorts to get stopped out before we start executing our trades, which is something you did extremely well. But to me, it's more important that besides the fact that you make the right decision, you also understand why you make that decision and why you think in that certain manner. All right?
Yeah, it's clear. This was Monday type of price action. On a different account, I took a short over here, but I didn't really want to do it on the challenge account because I think it was quite risky and it's not in favor of the context. But price didn't sweep the low spread here, so the stop losses and the liquidity kept resting over here. Even when it went up, I almost felt like retail myself, wanting to long as well here.
I can imagine, because it was also a very aggressive impulse up, and that is, they do that on purpose, those impulses up. They always make them very aggressive, because that's when you start feeling FOMO. That's when you start feeling the emotion of also wanting to be in a position, and being part of the move. And that is how they honestly trick retail into opening up those breakout positions.
And who is they in this equation?
Smart money. So the bigger players in the market that need that liquidity in order to be able to fill their orders. So they need retail to open up certain so-called stupid positions, because then they place their stop loss somewhere, or they start breakout long and breakdown shorting, and they can either use the stops to fill their own orders, or they can use those breakout longs or breakdown shorts and absorb that long or sell pressure to fill their own orders as well. So let's say a bunch of people are breakout longing when price was reaching the top of the range. They can absorb that long and buy pressure to fill their own sell and short orders.
Up until, let's say, even in the weekend, price was hovering over here. And I think it was Friday, Saturday morning, price just took this liquidity underneath this point, but it was ever so slightly. I know it's not enough, but here in this actually was Saturday evening, I took a small long position because I saw at least this liquidity up here. I thought, okay, we had some, accumulation behavior over here at least. Also, sometimes in the weekend you see that price is hovering around together with Bitcoin around this CME point. So sometimes you see the volume dry up a little bit, and then Sunday you see it picking up towards Monday. The ideal play for me would have been to wait until next week, which is actually now because we're recording on Monday, to get more liquidity from here, which actually is not happening right now. But of course, at that point in time, I didn't know. I took a small long. It shoot up, but it was a cam pump. Typically on Sunday, I knew I didn't have to put any more margin into it. I was actually quite happy that I took a small position. I put my stop loss on Sunday pretty quickly to break even. I took the $2 profit up here, and then I had to step into a car actually to drive home again from my parents. And when I got back, the entire position and the entire market had reversed on Sunday, stopped me out break even after $2. Two positions are still waiting here. Let's see what happens there. I think that is the better play to accumulate right here. People get scared, then go for the top of the range.
Since it's part of the same trade, you can leave those orders, in my opinion, even though I'm gonna tell you and Eelco to trade a different pair this week. So when you saw that scam pump on Sunday and it took out those equal highs, your experience from previous Sundays and previous weekends was telling you it could be a scam pump. So what do I need to do? I need to move my stop loss to break even, and I need to shave some profits to preserve my capital, manage my risk, and manage my capital. And that is something that makes me very happy, Bart. Because maybe the old Bart would have added some margin to the position.
Hell yeah.
Up on that scam pump when
More.
price was breaking through the previous highs. But you were recognizing certain behavior from the past, learning from your mistakes, and this time managing your trade very well. So that makes me very happy, I must say. And over the past few weeks, and I know you're always extremely hard for yourself, but you have been making some massive improvement. So that makes me super happy. And even though you didn't really understand why you had to wait for that sweep of that liquidity, you did know that there was liquidity resting right there. And you did patiently wait instead of longing the breakout. And the old Bart, without a shadow of a doubt, probably would have longed up on that pump on Tuesday. Am I right?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. FOMO.
So we're making progress. I love it, man. I love it. And what about you, Eelco? How did your week go? On Solana, excuse me.
So let me show my chart. This is my Solana chart, and I had to take a kind of different approach this week due to some time issues. So I couldn't look at the chart at the times I wanted or needed, perhaps. I don't know. But I charted Solana on a Sunday, waiting for the Monday to come. And as you can see, I have kind of similar setup as Bart has.
You marked out a slightly different liquidity point where you entered, but it was also a valid liquidity point for sure.
Yeah, I set my limit orders on Monday, I guess. So it worked out. That's why I was in a trade while Bart was not. From that point on, I just kind of let it go. Didn't look at a take profit, for instance. I set one, but I didn't close the position in the meantime. This trade is still running. The first one, the second and the third are waiting to happen. So my explanation is kind of similar to Bart's, with one difference is that my liquidity pool is at a different stage.
Yeah, you just charted it slightly earlier.
Yes.
But that is definitely also a valid liquidity point in my opinion, because you can see that low that you marked out also initiated that impulse. And that impulse was also breaking above that previous high. And therefore also a lot of people probably FOMO'd into breakout longs right there as well. So it definitely also was a valid liquidity point. So also a valid way to enter, because we always want to enter where other people are getting stopped out. And now looking at both your charts, you guys are both identifying the correct liquidity points, aka the points where people will get stopped out. And that is where you are now placing your limits.
Right.
So even though last week was very slow, happy that both of you were very patient and were simply identifying where people would get wrecked and where people would get stopped out, and patiently waited until they did, and that is where you executed your trades. So you guys are definitely making progress, just slightly different executions for the both of you, which also is completely fine, because at the end of the day, every system is different and there always will be different, and the executions are always different. And to me, I always try to preach like executions are quite simple. The difficult part is to get a high probability trigger and identify a high probability trigger and separate those from the low probability triggers, and then identifying what the correct and valid invalidation is for your bias and for your thesis. And then as long as your RR is decent, all that you want to do is enter where other people are getting stopped out, and then overall the execution will always be fine. Both accounts are in profit. I think Eelco is slightly ahead, if I'm correct.
Slightly. It's around $2, I guess.
And how do you feel about that, Bart?
Yeah, it's $1. I'll accept it and I'll fight back.
That is another episode of the trading challenge between my two favorite boomers, Bart and Eelco, wrapped up right here. Both of the accounts, for some reason, are up in major profit, still competing for the 2 tickets to FC Barcelona. If you guys like this kind of content, make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and then we will catch you guys on the next episode. Ciao, ciao!